Okay, guys, hello and welcome to City Skylines. This is just casual play streaming, so I don't really try and work too hard at it. I'm just kind of doing it to relax, and I stream it just so that I can have maybe some people to hang out with while I'm doing it because I think it's fun to talk with people. So feel free to chat in here, and every once in a while I'll look at the chat and see what people are saying and. You know, just have some fun with it. Honestly, this is just for me to relax, so uh, I would do this whether or not I was streaming. So the last time I was in the game, we just put in this monorail. I was thinking I was going to put in a full on rail, but I decided to go with the monorail instead. I hadn't, I have never really done too much monorail, and there are some aspects of it that I like. I like that it's right on top of the avenue. Uh, I kind of like that. I like how the train stations look and how they operate with going in and out without having to do too much crosswalking. Um, so yeah, I like those aspects of it. I also put in this space elevator. We are getting some traffic in from it, but it's actually not as much as I'm used to, and I think it's because the city's just not as big as it normally is when I put that structure in. We are still making lots of good money, and I think a large part of that is this Walker Park. Um, we have over 1,300 people, 1,350 people, and so it's making pretty much all of our profit plus a little bit. Otherwise, we would be in debt right now, or at least in deficit. So, excuse me. That's that's pretty interesting. Um, so I wanted to expand this. No, I already have. Okay, so I expanded that. The other thing I wanted to do is I wanted to go ahead and plan out. I have a little bit of industrial here, and I was thinking I was going to put a rail, a cargo rail from here, and kind of bring it along this backbone which of a freeway here. And so I think I want to go ahead and start implementing that. So I want to go ahead and go over to my rail here. It's going to be cargo. This is all going to be just a cargo line. It's no passengers. So I need to have my where I'm going to be putting them already set up, and I think I want to. I think I want to maybe put something kind of separated out over here. I want to think about the flow. Okay, so whenever you're doing a cargo depot, you want the flow to be from, as we're looking at it now, from left to right. Okay, so if I put it over here, it's from right to left. So I want it to come from this direction and then go to that direction. Okay, so now what we can do when we're thinking about that is we just need really one lane, just like we have over here, going to the cargo port. For the cargo rail, we want something similar. I don't know if we necessarily want a queue that long. It seems like this is now overkill, but at one point it was appropriate. I think I was just not producing nearly enough goods at that time, or I'm sorry, I was producing too much goods. I didn't have enough commercial at that time. So what we'll do is we'll go with this thing, and I wonder if we just take it off of this highway here. Most of the industrial that's going to go to here is going to come from this direction, so we almost want to do it off of this road here. Go over here, make sure I have my settings set up appropriately. And something is wrong with my snap. It's not snapping the way I'm I usually expect it to snap when it comes to my angle. My angle snap is not working the way it used to, and I don't know why. Not sure what's going on with that. But throw it right there, nice and perpendicular. Go like that, and then we'll go down to one of these, because with one of those comes grid. And we can go back to this. Bring it right in there. I think that's good. Somebody's using it randomly, which I don't know why they would, but okay. Let's go back to our rail here and plop that in. Right now, one of the things that I learned working with Zardis on his cities and the way he likes to do his rail is your commercial here and your commercial here, they need these goods. So you don't want to just put these next to a rail next to your industrial to take out of town or something. You also want to do it from your industrial to your commercial. And that is a big thing now. Because I'm building, and I almost always do this, I don't know why I have the day-night cycle on. I'm just going to turn that off for now, just to make it daylight, because I'm not interested in messing with that. Okay, so again, it's going to be from left to right, and this time we'll go from this direction. And I think we want to have a good connection to the industrial here. So I'm going to do it off of this road here. This road is obviously going to need to get upgraded at some point. So, I don't know. Maybe we do an overpass on this road instead of connecting it. Or maybe we do it like right here off of this road. Some sort of underpass there. It's certainly high enough, tall enough. We could do that. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. So I'm just going to stick with this for now. I can always change the speed limit if I think it's too slow. Alright, and we're going to first actually, let's make this elevated thusly, and then we'll build this. Nice and straight. And actually, I don't think nice and straight is the way we want to go with that. I think we want to curve it around. Like this. And then we'll go nice and straight. And it'll dead end, but what we'll do is we'll go ahead and put this here. And what's going to happen is eventually this is going to become an underpass or an overpass. But right now we'll just have it be a regular intersection. We'll upgrade that later. And then we can just delete that. And then we can put in our cargo station here. And then we just connect the two. So we're going to here, so we're more or less following this highway here. Whenever you do rail, you're pretty much guaranteed that you're going to need to do some sort of grading, because rail is just the way they do grading in this game is not realistic to the way rail grading would need to be. It's just not. Okay, so now we need to work on this the interface at this intersection here, because having a surface connection would be highly detrimental to both rail and regular traffic here. So, does the rail go over or does the road go over? I'd say that the rail stays on the surface and the road gets elevated up. So let's just do that. The problem with that is if I raise this up, it's going as an underpass there, so I got to raise all this up. Maybe it stays right there, and we just do it here. Raise it up here. Make it a bridge. Like that. Even like that. It doesn't have to be that big of a bridge. And then the rail can go underneath. And again, you gotta think the grading will happen later. So really, one of the problems is the location. It looks horrible. Yeah, I'm just gonna throw something down now, and we will fix it up later. So this just will not do. It just will not do. So first of all, this needs to go down. And it needs to be more or less ground level. And honestly, we need to level them out with each other. That's one problem. Here we go. It's going in now. Right, and I'm just going to hold down Alt and bring it nice and straight to here. Like that. And honestly, I'm going to alter what is straight. What does straight mean in this context? And I think I'm going to take them both and move them a lot closer to the pilar there, the pillar. Need to re-level everything apparently. There we go. And then over here I can bring this over. And then all this can actually be converted back to ground. Like that. That's fine there too. Let me move that up just a wee bit. And we could also maybe take this, that, and that, and lower it all down. Just a bit. And this actually needs to go up a little bit more. It's too low. There we go. All right, so let's straighten out this bit of a cluster. All right, so this will be a curve, and this will be a curve. There we go. So that all looks great. Now, I don't want this to be a surface any more than I want that to be. So we're gonna pause the game, delete that, and need to grade this all the way over anyway. So I'm gonna grab all of the nodes here. There are easier ways to do it than I'm doing, but I'm too lazy to do it the easier way, if that makes any kind of sense whatsoever, which it doesn't, I know. And we're going to level it all with this to begin with. And then, excuse me, then what we'll do, well, is we'll start paging down a little bit to start creating a slope. And we'll take that off and we'll page it down a little bit more. We'll take that off, page it down a little bit more. Now let's go ahead and even it out with this. See, it was already too low, so there wasn't that much slope needed, but that's enough, right? That's enough right there. So then we can go back to our road here. I think it's just one of these. Yeah. And we'll just keep it elevated this time to here. And now it just goes right on over. Now let's see, is it tall enough? It needs to be maybe a wee bit taller. So we can go and take this, just make it a wee bit taller. Just a wee little bit, okay? And we can make that slope a little bit less drastic there. So we have the beginnings of our railroad there, and then now we want to grade all of this all the way over. That's going to stay as a surface crossing right there. All right, so I'm going to just, so the other way to do this is you go to your mark key selection here and you turn off everything but nodes. Now the only problem with this is it's going to do any node, not just railroad nodes or just road nodes. So if I went too far, it's going to click all those nodes too, and so I need to be mindful of that. You don't want to go too willy-nilly, and then you just hold down Shift or Control, either way, and continue selecting. No, it's Shift. It's not either way. I lied to you. Alright, and so we're going to take all that and we're going to match it up to that one right there. And so now it is all one grade. There's no going up or going down, the exception of maybe here at the end. And you know what? It doesn't really. So I'm going to leave it like that. You know, normally rail goes up and not down in the ground, but that's fine. And the only other thing I would really want to do is go back to just a single selection here and straighten this out. There we go. So that it's just a little bit more clean. All right, I think we can go ahead and press play now. And this needs some electricity. So let's provide that by just throwing this down right there like that. And it probably needs some water. It does. So let's provide that. There we go. Let's see about this other one. This other one actually is kind of covered with water. We could maybe throw in this right here, knowing that it'll connect. And then it just barely has. Let's go ahead and throw a power line in just for good measure. Just like that. Alright, and so this ought to operate now and bring cargo from here to there and then back. Now, it seems like we're also getting traffic that's just like saying, okay, that's a great way for me to get to where I want to go instead of coming this way. And so what I want to make sure to do is, we want to make sure that our speed limit is appropriate here. So it's 30 right now. Let's make it 60. Yeah. And then let's take our thing here and we want to ban traffic. I'm okay with pretty much everything else, but we want to ban just normal traffic. There we go. And we'll see if a cargo, there's some limited bringing the cargo to here. It's not like when you're trying to bring it in and out of town. And eventually what we could do is we could create a rail line that goes to or maybe we put it over here instead of over there, just in addition to that, put a cargo port here, a hub, and so then you also have the rail as well as the road, because there is plenty of exporting and importing going on. All right, so let's take a look at that. Let's take a look at our import-export. So they're actually pretty evenly keeled with our imports, and then we are exporting much more forestry than goods, which means we are using our goods. We're using most of this, so we're going to need to expand that, and that's okay because I think we have room to expand here. We can expand all the way to this highway here, and we could probably expand in this little section here. If I really wanted to, I could probably get into this section here, despite all this kind of crazy spaghetti that I got going on here. Yeah. Let's go. I want to see how this monorail is doing. So that looks like it's got plenty of passengers going on here. Let's do the line details here. Oh, pause. Line details. Okay, so we got 6 vehicles, 8 stops, I believe. I should say that somewhere. Weekly passengers, 594 residents, 354 tourists. That's quite a bit. And it seems like there are a couple of stations that are getting overwhelmed. So I wonder if we want to maybe increase to maybe 8. There are 8 stations, so that would mean that you basically have a car at each station at any given time. And then looks like it's really 16 stations because it's 8 going one way and 8 going the other. So maybe we could increase that even a little bit more. So I think the capacity of each station, each train is 140. Is that correct? It's 180. So that's even better than I thought. Yeah. I guess I could have just looked right there at the /180 and it would have showed me. But, oh well. Right, so Yeah, so that got taken care of. That got taken care of. Okay. I think those additional two actually ought to cut it just fine. And let's see, how are we doing with this? 434, so that's increasing. And yeah, cool. How's the park getting used over here? Not nearly as much as I would have expected, I'll be honest with you. But here's more like what I was expecting. And I think it's because I maybe put the monorail in, and so the monorail is actually, a lot of people, instead of walking, are using the monorail, which I know I would. So this is getting well used right here. Yeah. Yeah, I mean the park is. There's no doubt that the park overall. I mean, it's such a big park, and it's making even more money because it's getting even more use out of it. That's what I love, having a park that goes down the middle of and this is technically not the middle, right? But it goes down the middle of your city. It really improves the city quite a bit, and with park life, it's a moneymaker. I mean, it's what is bringing in my surplus. All my surplus plus some is coming just from that park. Okay, so I think it's time to maybe expand the city a little bit. It's hard for me to really tell. I'm gonna just start with residential. So this all is supposed to be like a touristy, commercial office area here. Along the beach here, and this park here will get extended down around. So, what I want to do is, let's see here. So I don't really want to work on this section right now. I want to build more residential, and this is all residential right here. So I wonder if we basically expand all the residential to here, this whole section here, and then we could have some offices or commercial kind of at that end point there, something like that. And do we want it all high density like this, or do we want to go back down to a regular low density like we have here? I think we want to transition from higher density to lower density. I think by here you stick with lower density. So what I've determined is it's best to just use this suburban street, because it actually works even better, even as just as well in an urban setting here as the other road that I was using, which is this one here. The traffic flows easier on this, I guess, a little bit, but the parking situation is pretty dire. I mean, look at all these cars parked here, so we want to keep that in mind as well. And so I think I'm going to stick with suburban roads here. And we are going to just continue the grid here. Might as well. So, do I want to do that first, or do I want... Yeah, I'll do it just for the one part. And you know what? I think I would do this one for that. And then we would take off. It's saving, so it's glitching out on me. We're going to take off the grid here. And we want the grid back on for this part. There we go. I don't know if I want it all to connect right there. So I'll just stop it short for now. I'll leave that open for now. There we go. The stream went down for a little bit. Sorry about that, guys. All right, so back to just hanging out and playing. By the way, hi Nuki Dookie and Harley Plays. Let's do this as well. Let's go ahead and throw some of these in here. No, that's too close. All right, so there we go. Now we're going to start getting a little bit more suburban, because all this will be high density, but then we'll go and we'll do some low density stuff. And I think I'll start here. Now, I think what I would like to do is maybe like throw one of these in here and then do a roundabout. So we want to do suburban. Gotta move this over. You know, I think I might just throw it in there and then just do a 2-lane road for now, and then I will change what type it is after the fact. So we want to do this bigger though. We want to do this like 100. Oop. See how that looks. Yeah, that looks good. Oh boy. Razor out of index. I don't know what that means. But that looks pretty cool. And then we can take this and then just upgrade it. Like that. And then you take another one from the other side. Stick it roughly in the center there. And then do like something like 40. And do the same thing. Yeah, I kind of like that. Well, that roundabout builder is so cool, isn't it? Isn't that roundabout builder cool? All right, so now let's take it and we'll bring it back home like that, something like that. And maybe do something like this. go back to that roundabout builder, and then you could do like a really nice little back ecliptic roundabout. No, back. I don't want to do that. There's a cul-de-sac in here somewhere. Tiny cul-de-sac. And then you do some over here, something like 30. I'd say even do something like 20. Not 250. 20. You got a nice little cul-de-sac there, but it's still too big. Still too big. So we'll make it 7. Too small. 10. There we go. Get a nice little cul-de-sac there. All right. And close that out. That looks pretty good. So now let's just zone things up. I think we can just grab this. I'm going to pause it for now because I don't want everything to start growing immediately. I'm going to zone this area first. These guys love all that noise pollution, aren't they? But, you know, not everybody can live next to a nice place, so I would say it's not entirely unrealistic. I've seen houses horribly close to a freeway, especially older ones that were probably there before the freeway, but the freeway got built, and so land values went down just a wee bit. Just a smidge. All right. There we go. That's all good. I think that doesn't need to be there. And we'll go with the high density over here. Oh, yeah. You know, it didn't go to high density. Ah, oh, that's a pain in the butt. What a pain in the butt. Okay. There we go. All right, let's make sure we got water. We do. We should have no problem with power. Now let's see. We might need to put some more water production just in anticipation here. There we go. We'll let that go. How's our power? Probably going to need to put another power plant in sooner or later, so let's go ahead and do it. All right. Let's do a little bus line, I'd say. Yeah, we'll put that right there like that. It's just a little local line just for the new area. And I brought it over to the monorail so that they could hook up with the monorail to go other parts of the city. Thanks, man. I appreciate that, Harley Plays. No, I don't typically play the disasters as I obviously I have natural disasters, the DLC, but I don't usually play that part of it, that aspect of it. Besides, an underground shelter seems like that would not be the way to go for an island. Like if a hurricane was coming or tsunami, there's the tsunami would wipe out the underground shelter. It just doesn't seem realistic to me. But yeah, that's I don't usually play that aspect. One of the things I do love doing though actually is I'll go over here. I love this asset, the radio mast. It just looks good. Looks like, oh yeah, that's definitely something that should go on my city. So, maybe we put it like right here. Try and get it in such a way that it goes over the freeways. Like that. It increases land value just by having it. People like radio apparently. But look how cool that looks. It just adds to the fabric of your city. Certainly increased. Look at all that. That all got bumped up. So one of the things I was about to do is I think it's time to do the eating project. But I don't want to do the eating project until I really want things to get lit, so to speak. And I think I want to finish like the entire map or the entire island layout first. And then like turn on that the Gia project here. Or the Eden project. And man, it just like makes the land values go through the roof on everything. Make it a really hoity-toity island. So what should I do next, guys? I have no specific ideas. I guess as this grows, there's probably going to be a need for more commercial and more office space. So I need to think about that. Let's see how well there's not a whole lot of traffic here. Usually there's a heck more traffic going to one of these things, but there's not a whole lot. So maybe it's not doing as much of what I need it to do. Wonder if it's also just because it's not well connected to the port here. Wildlife park, huh? I would do an amusement park before I did a wildlife park. Hmm. You know, if I was going to do an amusement park, I don't know, I might put it somewhere over here. But I already have, like, a park laid out. That's part of this whole Walker Park, which has got almost 1,800 people going through it every day. Because it's just basically spans the entire city. And it will. It's going to go all the way to the end here, and it'll go all the way through. And it's basically me charging people for being pedestrians in my city. It's essentially what I'm doing. I'm tolling pedestrian use. It's kind of a. I don't think it's realistic at all that you would do that, but I think it's fun anyway. Well, I think what I'm going to do is maybe build like a little community over here, just like a really small little residential community, maybe like just a couple little shops. And I don't really have too many. Let's see here. I don't even have the Rico set up anymore, do I? So what I was gonna say is, you know, I could, you know, maybe just go to global, and then like commercial. And there are some things that I could plop. Like, I wonder if I have a. Just go back to all, and then go to Costco. So I have like a Costco that I could put down and stuff like that. Do I have the mall still? Mall. It doesn't look like I do. So I had like this whole little mall that I could plop down, kind of like that Costco. Yeah, it'd be really weird to have a zoo on an island like this, wouldn't it? You know, shipping all the animals from the mainland to the island. I guess you could do it, though. You're all about the parks, aren't you, bro? You're like, yeah, do a wildlife park. Well, that looks like it would flood pretty easily if I let it. What's going on with that? I don't remember that hole being there. I think I might build a stadium. I'm going to build a proper stadium. It's going to be right off of this metro line. Maybe we need another. So we have a hub here, right? Because we got the harbor coming in. Over here we have the ferries coming in. And we got the international airport. And so we also have the end of our monorail line. We have all these bus lines that come through here. So I wonder if we want to do something similar, kind of over here where we put like a hub. Fair enough, Harley Place. So I might put like a transit hub right here, and then put like a stadium, or put like a transit hub right here, and put like a nice big stadium right here. And it's right there next to my space elevator, which is increasing in the number of people it's providing to the city. So let's see here. You can do a nice big parking lot and all kinds of stuff. Okay, so where are my stadiums at? I don't remember. I think they're going to be here. Yeah. That's a big old stadium, isn't it? Oh, I don't like that. This is the one I think I usually use. I guess the best looking one. Plop it down right there. It's got a nice little corner here so you can stick a metro line later on down the road. I don't know, it seems like need to do some landscaping here. Need to even out things. Let's pick the brush size up a little bit. Oh, jeez. Let's see. Yeah, that's what I was wanting. Make the brush size just a little bigger. There we go. Then we'll kind of smooth it out a little bit. Much as I can. There we go. You still got a little bit of this going on. Maybe I should do it and then plop it down. How much does it cost to move? Cost $40,000 to move it. Yeah, I got 10 million. What's $80,000 to do this? Okay, so whatever it is, it needs to just all be done the same. Whatever the height is. Alright. There we go. Alright, and then we'll move it on over. Come on. There we go. Bam. It looks pretty good. It's not too far from this other stadium, which is just kind of nothing. It's just a big nothing burger. It just brings you just have tourists go to it every once in a while, and that's it. But this is a whole nother beast, and I really love that they put that into the game. I wish they did more of this. I wish they had American football and baseball and some other sports like that. But now that we have this, so we can put a hub right here, and then like have a parking lot over here. So start building our hub. Use these one way, one lane, one ways. And I don't know, let's put this back. I don't. So would you have like a, how would it go? I think you'd maybe come off of this road like this. Sorry guys, I'm thinking, so I'm not talking too much. Come off of here and go down and connect that way. And then have another one here. We go in here and we can... No, I don't want to do that one. I want to do this one. What kind of trees do we want? Do banana trees. I don't like banana tree. I don't like that. Nope. Nope. That looks cool. Maybe a little big. Those are kind of nice. Yeah, okay. So we'll do that. We'll throw these in here. Alright. And prop line tool is one of the best things since toilet paper, I'm telling you guys. Y'all don't use it, you should. Look at that. You found a hair in your soup. Ugh. What are you... Ugh. Man. I didn't really need to know that. You know that. Like, you could have kept that one to yourself and nobody needed to know that except you. Ugh. Like, why tell me all about that? Ugh. It's all good, man. It's all good. It's all good, man. All right. Parking lot. Let's do some parking lot here. Oh, road maintenance. Yeah, I'll do road maintenance another time. Yeah, thank you. I don't need that anymore. Why do we still have it like that? There we go. Yeah, that looks good. Okay. Too big. That ought to work. Okay. So there's that. Just gonna have to do it like one at a time. How awful. You know, I could cheat. I think I'm going to. You know what I could do is I could just bring everything in by 2. Kind of messes that up. I'll have to fix that. But then I can grab these and move them there, like that. There we go. We can do electric car vehicle parking. Handicap parking. All right. Yeah, let's fix our trees here. What happened with that? wonder if you can grab it. I don't think you can. Just delete it. Is this the right one? Yeah, that's good enough. Hmm. What does this look like? It's kind of a nice tree. Yeah, but that's about all the detail I'm looking to do. So let's check this out. Let's see. So we got 548 visitors out of 750. The next match happens on. See, it does it weird because that's it's the day, month, and then year. So second, so February 21st, 2035. It is February 4th, 2035. So got about 16 days. What is it? No, it's changing too constantly for me to do the math in my head. That's too hard. Why would I need to do that? Whoa, a floating car. Where's the floating car? I don't see a floating car. Floating car where? Oh, I see. You're kind of floating a little bit right there. Yeah. I guess what I would need to do is take that node and page up a little bit. There we go. Cars won't float anymore. All right, let's put our bus lines in. One line there. Just kind of have it go all up and down over here. I don't know. I don't want to do it like that. And you just have it come back. Alright, then we have another line here. And it'll go straight to, like, over here. Another line over here. Goes straight to over here. I think we'll leave those two for future expansions to the city. Yeah, this is going to be a full match, so it would be nice to win. Okay, so come on, come one, come all. Public transport is free. I don't think so. Match security, yeah, we'll do that. And subsidized use, yes, we'll do that. And there we go. Now, I think what I want to do is I want to just throw some parks in the city, just some normal parks. Park with trees. Kind of a pretty big prospect here, but we got a nice little big space here that we can utilize for that. Right, and then we can take and kind of expand this out. I'd like it to be ground. There we go. It's going to improve things. Okay, and then throw this Japanese garden in a little bit somewhere. Throw it in like right there. To the botanical gardens. It's a really great asset, this botanical gardens here. I think we'll throw it in like over here. Here. Gorgeous. Alright. What else we got? Tropical garden. Fishing island. That's always cool. We throw it in over here. We could. Ooh. Hopefully. Oh, no. Not gonna let me do it like that. Sucks. I could do it like off of this though. Let's do it over here. Cool deal. Floating cafe. Homewood Suites. It's like a hotel here. Residence Inn. What else we got? Basketball court. Let me throw that in over here somewhere. Looks like a good spot for it. What else? Dog park. Everybody needs to have a good dog park. There's a little playground. Small playground. Starting to upgrade things with all these little amenities here. I think I also need to go to my city park here and bring some connection to this area from over here. So we need to do that. I think I'm going to expand the area a bit to include this little patch here. Heck, we'll bring it all the way over here. Might as well. Might as well. Can never make the park area too big, right? Only make it too small. Right, so I think this is a great spot to put something. I think right there is a good spot. Oop, that ought to be enough. Alright. We can curve it around. Get right up in there. And we can just pop that from there to there. Call that one a day. Okay. Give it just enough of a curve there. I mean, can I lower this down because it's a bit high? It's just a wee bit high. Let's make that even with that. There we go. Let's bring this down to earth a little bit, shall we? No need to make people climb that high just to go over the road. Okay. Cool deal. Lots of good use out of it, too. And people are actually using it to commute to the industrial area. So maybe what we ought to do is we can facilitate that, actually. We can put like something like right here. Oh. Kind of weird how things are working out there. Alright. We'll bring it all the way home. Oops. Can we, I guess we'll need to delete it and redo it. There we go. Oy vey. Yeah, there we go. Let's go. So hopefully it'll eliminate some of this traffic here by having that there. And also, everybody that goes on that instead of this will make me money. Money. In fact, what I can do to kind of force it a little bit is eliminate the crosswalk there. Hmm. Hmm. I think we should have another connection. All right. That looks pretty cool to me. All right, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to throw in some commercial here. I don't have any farms. I would assume that they're going to bring all that in through here, all the food. I guess I could have farms, but yeah, no thanks. I mean, I guess I could. I could throw some farms in. I don't want farms, though. I don't really want them. But what we'll do is we'll create this little thing here where we will have the organic and local produce thing. There you go. Yeah, that's getting some good use now. Yeah, I mean, I'm not too worried about money. Honestly, I'm. This is my relaxing sandbox mode, so I'm not really like. I'm just playing just to relax. I'm just kind of letting you guys hang out with me while I do it. So, you know, I don't even have like a very specific direction. I'm just like, okay, I'll work on this now, and all right, I'll work on that now. You know, oh, no worries, Harley plays. I'm just explaining why I'm kind of just doing my thing and not saying, yeah, no, you're right. You know, farms would make money, and you know what? Maybe I should part farms in here a little bit. Maybe I can put like some farms in over here a little bit. Um, but it's not what I want to work on right now, so I'm not gonna. You know, it's one of the few places in my life where I can say, you know what, I don't wanna, so I'm not gonna. We need to get some zoning in here. What happened with that? What happened to my zoning there? Maybe not right there. Maybe not right there. Okay. You know, I mean, I'm not even like trying to manage my zoning. You notice I just got a cheat mod that maxes out the demand the whole time, and that's, you know, just so I can build whatever I want and it'll build and it'll look awesome and whatever. You know. In fact, with that in mind, I'm just gonna throw this in. Let's do it. Let's do this. Bam. I just gotta change the landscape. Sit back and watch this as everything grows. Yeah, but look at all that growth that's going on right now. instantly, it's like an instant upgrade. Because all the land values just basically max out. And so you get all the really high level stuff. Everything goes to level 5. So if you look at the land value now, you see it's just bright green now everywhere. It wasn't like that before I put that down. I guarantee it. And like even this pollution will start going away because of that. Speaking of which, how is our garbage? Ooh, we need to throw in some more processing. Alright. That's easy enough to do. It's starting to lag a little bit. We started off about 47,000. Now we're up to 67,000 people in today's session. There's been, I don't know. Oh, maybe it's been an hour and a half. Look at all those new buildings now. Really just lit it up. This building's getting a little overbuilt here, though. Getting a little overbuilt. What we can do, though, is say, okay, do we have any ploppable, growable, some high density? Nothing. Oh, helps if I'm not. So what do we got? You know, stuff. It's all mostly in-game stuff. Anything super cool? I used to have a lot of super cool stuff, and I just took it off because it was just bogging my system down a lot. So, you know, you got a lot of this stuff, but it's being built anyway. So, let's go through and let's say, okay, are there any extras that we want to do? So let's build like a little gateway to the city here. Can it go over a monorail? All right. It looks like it can, yeah. Yeah, let's do it right there. It's perfect. All right, and get the John Hancock Center here. Might as well. I think it'll go. Let me look at my zoning here. Commercial there. It's all residential. So I need a really good commercial center because this is all actually tourist. So there's all hotels and stuff. So I need like a good commercial center right here. That's what I need. So that's what I'm going to build. All right. So we're going to start off with these. And default. Okay, good. That's what we want. And we'll start off like right here. So this needs to be maybe more of a highway. Actually, I don't know. We'll go ahead and just connect it for now. See how it goes. All right. we'll leave that. I think that ought to suffice. Let's go over here. Yeah, need to extend our water piping here. Alright, and then we'll make it nice high density. Bam, and then bam. Alright. Alright. And then we can go ahead and throw in things like this John Hancock here somewheres. Doesn't quite fit. You can throw it in here, maybe over here. Yeah. Nice view of the ocean there. And see, I got this super target here. I'm gonna throw that in somewhere. Maybe throw it in over here. Makes more sense. I don't know. I'll worry about that one later. Okay, what else we got? We got the maze tower. Kind of a neat little tower here. Up, or we don't have power. Guess we just need to connect it, really. Let's do it like back here. There we go. That's good enough. Okay, where were we? Okay, yeah, we're putting this maze tower in over here. You know, you get this nice big Blue Cross Blue Shield from Chicago. And Crane Communications building. Throw that one in right there. Grand America Hotel. Ooh. Might want to put that one like over here. Harbor Point. Seems appropriate. Seems like that's supposed to be like out on a point though. Like you throw it out like right over here, like right on the edge. But I don't want to. I'll do that one later. It's not the best looking building. You can get IHOP and Kohl's, Party City, Riverbend Tower. Oh, that one looks kind of decent. Yeah, that works fine. That one right there. looks good. Okay. What do we got here? Oh, that's kind of a neat little park. Throw that like up in this park here. I don't get where it's supposed to connect. You just throw it in somewhere. I guess it actually has roads. Oh, I didn't realize that. Yeah, we can demolish that one. I didn't like that. Never placed that one before. That was a new one for me. Garden of Reflection. Yeah, so here are all my shopping centers. I found those. Okay. Remember that? That's in 4. Okay. Here we go. Achilles Tower. Oh. Oh, yeah. Now we're starting to get into the thing, so. Starting to get into the real big stuff now. Alexandria Tower. Hmm. Ares Tower. Ooh. That's the big one. A big tower. Whoa. It's another one. That one looks like I'm not going to use it, though. Oh, yeah, you get the French Arch de Triomphe. Yeah, and Trump International Hotel. Everybody's favorite president. Maybe not everybody's, but you take that to mean nothing as far as what my opinion is. Just throw him down right there. You got this Colossus thing. I guess I could do the statue of Colossus here somewhere. All right. I think we did enough damage there. Got a nice little commercial district started here. Can't wait to these actually like start really upbuilding on their own. Because they kind of look a little bit small compared to all these huge skyscrapers that I put down. And we need to, I think, extend our monorail. Wouldn't you think? So let's go ahead and do that. So we got the over the road station here. No, no, we don't want that. There we go. That's better. There we go. Let's drag this stop over here. And then we can add a stop in each way, I think. Hopefully I did that right. Now we're going to get... Look at this mass exodus. Oh, yeah. We won our first game. That's nice. That's a lot of people. Yeah, let's go ahead and throw a bus line in here. Looks like we're having a garbage issue. Oh yeah, look at all this traffic. Oh yeah. We're gonna have to work on that a little bit. And it's not, it was to be expected. I mean, look at all the stuff I just throw in here. In fact, a lot of this would probably work out if I gave it a long enough time. But I mean, I could make this a proper interchange. I don't know. I'm going to give it a little bit of time, see if it'll work itself out. The traffic is looking pretty horrendous right now. Maybe this needs to really be moved over to here. Or even like stuck in here somehow. I don't know. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and upgrade all these. Alright, so we take it. And we just page up a little bit. I think we can certainly take this node here and bring it down. And we're going to do the same thing here. Let's go ahead and take this node down. Just do that now. Alt, and then move. Good to go. Be back in about 10 minutes. Hey, Harley Plays. We'll see you in about 10 minutes. No worries, man. Thanks for hanging out while you did, and we'll see you in a little bit. Alright, throw it up over here. About to right there. Okay. And, I think I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and like this as well. Bring it out. Yeah, we'll Alt and move. And then let's go ahead and just select all these nodes and make them the same height. Might as well. I don't think I did that right. Oh, we'll try again. There we go. And then what we can do is just have like a nice little this is what I'm looking for. And we'll have like little feeder roads here. And I think we'll take this one and change it to this here. Yeah, just like that. You know, maybe we don't have that go right there. Maybe what we do instead, we have it go right here. And it'll turn into this number here. Like that. You know, and then we can bring it over here and then bring it in. Just like that. And then we can have some sort of on-off ramp experience maybe here. I don't know if we want to do that or not. And the age-old question is, okay, do you do an on-ramp here or do you do an off-ramp there? So you would do an off-ramp and then an on-ramp if you're trying to access areas here, but because you're really doing it for that, I think you'd put an on-ramp here. Something like this. Obviously, the other direction. And you do an off-ramp here. Do like a little on-ramp, a little off-ramp. And let's manage our heights here. So these guys here need to be the same height as that right there. And these guys here need to be the same height as this guy here. And you know what? All of this, all of it can all also be at the same height. There's no need to have different heights there. And so then the only other thing you want to do, that's not what I wanted to do, is straighten this out a little bit. There we go. Try and get it to the point where it's considered straight. And this actually would go in like that. Hey, welcome back, buddy. Okay, so here's what we did while you're gone. We put in some feeder roads here and a couple on-off ramps. That's all we did. That's it. There we go. And I'm trying to make that arrow go straight and see how I've made that arrow go straight. So that's what I'm paying attention to right now. Just trying to make the arrows be straight. So like right here, I'm going to bring this one back. And now that arrow's straight. And that arrow is straight, so that's good. And I'm bringing this back until that arrow goes straight. See, it went straight. I'm going to let it play a little bit so I can see this arrow. Either that, or I need, what I can always do is I can just click off of everything. Click that guy, and oh, sorry, you died. Alright, and see how that has that arrow there. I don't want that arrow, so I need to eliminate it. There you go. It's gone. Alright, and then I need to manage my lanes here. Just like that. I don't want anybody turning left there. There we go. There we go, and last but not least, because again, you don't want anybody turning. You'll no turn. Okay, you'll no turn either. Okay. Okay, So let's see if that will eliminate our traffic issues. Now I think there's actually some lane management that can be done over here as well. Right, so this guy is just for turning in. This guy is just for going here. That guy is just for going there. This is just for going straight. That's just for going straight. That's just for turning to there. Ooh. It's saving, it's pausing. Okay, there we go. There we go. And then, yeah, that we can leave alone. Now you don't have to. You can turn right or left too, yeah. And then what we need to do is we need to make it to where these guys don't have to stop. Honestly, these guys need to be able to just go. Let's see how things are working out here. Yeah, we need to make this not an intersection. It's not. Take all that off. Same thing here. No intersection needed. Okay, and then we'll move on down and no intersection. No intersection. No intersection. No intersection. No intersection. No, 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 no. Okay. I still got it going on here, so maybe we have to extend it all the way through. But you know what I could do is I could just say, you know what, that's not supposed to be connected. Let's look at our speed limits, because things seem like they're moving kind of slow. You know, all this should be 100. 100. 100. All right. Another thing we might need to do is we might need to upgrade this. I don't know if we do or not. Seems like it's working. It seems like, honestly, I just need to give it a little bit of time to work itself out now that I have the new architecture for the freeway here. Everybody is getting off right there. No pun intended. Okay, what if we did something like this too? There we gave a second little slip lane there. They seem to like that. We got a problem with all these pedestrians. Why don't we give them a better place to do that? Let's we can do like one from here. we go. Then we'll go back over here and we'll say, yeah, no pedestrians whatsoever. Sorry guys, they all just turned around because they all got turned away. That's going to make things, look at how much better that's flowing now. Just freeing this up to flow. This is causing problems, so we're just gonna have it go straight right here. And honestly, I think this is too close, so it needs to get stretched out a little bit. It's not good for the slope here, but it'll make things move smoother. Boy, they're killing me here with this lane management system here they got going on, which is not working. But you know what? It's kind of like I'm getting the end of my traffic here. So let's see if it'll just work itself out eventually, or it won't be so bad. Definitely got plenty of people doing this here. Plenty of people at these bus stops here. The Spruce Street line needs to be worked on. I'm waiting for a bus to come so I can select it. I wonder if this is it. Which one's coming to Spruce Street? Yellow or the pink? It's the yellow. Okay. Let's look at this line. So it's got 3 stops on it, and everybody's getting from here to elsewhere. It's got 5 vehicles on it. Let's throw 10 vehicles on it. Where are the other 2 stops? There and there. We'll see how that works. I think you can get air conditioning heating plants unless it's a mod. Air conditioning and heating plants. That would be a first for me unless it has something to do with the I guess you got these boiler stations and the geothermal heating plant. But that's for snowfall, so that's really not useful unless you got snow on the ground. So, okay, what do we got? Some major problems. Not enough goods to sell. Okay, I need to add some industry stat. Let's add some goods industry stat. All right, so we're gonna go back to this type of road, and we'll do something like this. Maybe do something like this where it kind of goes underneath. Let's take that snap off. go. And, oh, I wonder if we can have it go under right here. Just like that. I think it could keep going. I don't want it to, though. It's too much pressure on the system there. There we go. Let's make sure we got... Oh, sorry about the bang there, by the way. Let's get our pipes going here. That's all I really needed. Okay, and then we'll get our zoning on in. Just good old regular goods production there. And let's take a look. Because no, we don't want that. There we go. I keep on hitting that thing. I'm sorry, man. We got our goods production there. I actually do have this the industries active, so I could start doing industries, but oy vey, it can be a pain in the butt to do the industries. And this map, you know, it's the island. You know, you're only gonna have so much industrial, and so what I've decided to do is from here over is my industrial, and if it don't fit in here, it ain't going in. You know, all this, everything else is going to be something residential, commercial, office, that kind of thing. Alright, let's see how that's going to start affecting over here. Good. Now I am getting a lot of traffic here still. So I think what I need to do is, you know, this is working, but this isn't, I was putting for next to there, but this really needs to be next to over here. Yeah, we probably need to just nope, that's not what I wanted to do. Yeah, we had somebody coming in just doing some BS on the chat there. Sorry, guys. Wow, look at all that. Look at all that. It's a lot of traffic there. Honestly, it's almost like I need to take this and turn the corner. Oh, you know what I need to do? I know what I need to do. Watch this, guys. Ooh, I figured it out. Figured it out. Parkside gate. I'm going to put some Parkside gate right there. Put some Parkside gate right there. Put some Parkside gate right there. Let's make sure our park is actually like covering what we want it to cover. There we go. Oh, no. Not a separate one. There we go. And we will lay out our park road here. go. Needed to extend this park here, this beach park. Maybe put another little parkside gate right there. Anyway, all this traffic can also start using this. They don't seem to be doing so, though. That's interesting. Another thing I could do is, instead of doing this, is extend this out. So go over here. Let's extend my park here. That whole thing's park. I deem it such. Okay. And then pause that sucker. Yeah. I'm gonna eliminate all this. I'm gonna put a parkside gate right there. Right there. I'm gonna page this sucker up. I'm just gonna make it normal, so if it wants to be, it can. Alright, bring that up to 9 meters. Bring it over, across, bring it back down. And then, I guess we'll curve it around. Be a part of that. There we go. There we go. Okay, got all of that. Now, what else do we not? We don't have enough educated workers, so we need to work on our education as well. Let's let that play out. Yeah, that's going to work out really well, I think. That way they're not having to cross this street here. And they're still doing it a lot right there anyway, but yeah. We're getting a little bit of use, not nearly as much as I would have thought, but maybe it takes a little bit of time for it to set up. So I'm going to move on to the next aspect of this, which is going to be education. So yeah, we don't nearly have enough education because I added all this, but I didn't add any elementary. So let's throw some stuff in, shall we? One there. We'll throw one in like right here. Throw one in right here. Another one in right here. Throw a fancy one in over there. Maybe just throw one fancy one in over here. There we go. Alright. On to high school. Oh, woefully under serviced. Okay. Throw that in there. Throw this guy in here. All right, about half the capacity is now there. Wow. Need to get some urban high schools or something. I need to go get some assets. Don't I? I need to go get some assets, I think. And, well, even the university is in need. Okay, so we got the regular university. We can throw in this fancy one. Maybe throw the fancy one in over here. Right here. Throw it in right there. And then I'll go back over to my parks here. I'll throw in another side gig here. Connect that up to that. Hopefully that'll solve a lot of these worker problems, because I am getting some abandonment, which is no good. We could use police station. Okay, and probably could use a fire station. Mike could say that. I think we'll put it like right here. Definitely need one over here. Yeah, what a difference that makes. I do have a mod on where it's no fire, no building fire, so I'm not overly worried about it. It's just for the sake of cosplaying. We might stick a hospital in somewhere. I am a genius. 3 points to anybody that knows what that's from. Alright. You know, I'm surprised this hasn't upgraded more, but maybe it's just because they don't have enough. Doesn't show that it's got poor public transit. I guess I haven't put any. Oh, I did put a little bit, but maybe not enough. I have no postal service. I bet you if I implemented a postal service throughout, that would start upgrading some things some more. I haven't done any postal service. Oh, I guess we'd have our port sorting facility over here, just off the port, so it comes off this way. Put it right there. Then we need to throw in some post offices here. There we go. There we go. All right. Seems like we're getting good postal service going there now. Starting to have trucks go out and deliver to everybody. Alright, I'll leave that be for now. See how that goes. Man, look at that. Just maxed out to the nines. What is that? America. Oh yeah, America. I love it. Woo, America. Okay. Yeah, it's starting to look like something. How's our team doing? Our next match is when? We've got a lot of people showing up. Next match is when? Oh, it's going on right now. Oh, I see. So there's a football match right now. All right. You see anything while you're in the stadium? Look at that. What a view of those towers while you're in the stadium. Uh-oh. What happened? There we go. That's you're watching the football game, and look at the view of the city while you're watching it. That's so cool. All right. I like it. See, our traffic doesn't seem like it's improved too terribly much. So what we might need to do I wonder why they. I wonder if we up the speed limit. Oh, you know what? Let's go ahead and up this to 80. Let's see what that does. I wonder if anybody will, because it seems like they're getting on just to get right back off. The other thing I might do is I might swap this out to where that's an off ramp and that's an on ramp. That seems like that might cause trouble in and of itself. Why don't we do this? Why don't we upgrade this road? Like this. Okay, so you can go left, but then you can only turn right there. And these guys, you can turn left. Or you can turn right, but you can also go straight. There we go. See if we can make this flow a little bit better. Part of it, I think, is all these pedestrians. Let's try doing something else here too. So I'm just gonna put a little slip lane. I'm doing well, man. Okay, throw it in like that. All right. Then we'll have that go straight, obviously. Let's see if that changes any of the calculus here. It's just putting too much pressure on that corner. Having this slip lane go in, a lot of the traffic that would be coming in here to push through all the way through can now just come in here, go here and here. And, obviously they can turn right there. One of the things that might help right here is if I had made that more perpendicular. That's not helping me much, but when I expand, that's going to have to get addressed as well. Okay, I think this traffic has been... Oh, there's a little bit of a hiccup here. Okay, now they're just going through. Oh boy. Still got some traffic going on over here. Oh wow. It's backed up too. Okay. It's this place here, so I'm going to need to separate this out. Bring it up a bit. And convert it to a bridge. This bridge needs to move just a bit. Now we need to go over here and connect. It's right underneath. There we go, and lower that one down a little bit. There we go. Okay, now we can throw our hats in the ring here. We'll go over here and we'll just do this. So we'll bring it all the way over here, but we won't snap to the freeway here. And we'll just connect that way. Let's see how that does. You know, what I could do is I could do an off ramp and an off ramp right here that goes in and underneath, instead of trying to push it onto this as well. Oh yeah, and need to manage your connections there, obviously. That's not working for me. What is up with this? Okay. We need to just eliminate the left turns here. We need to do a little bit better connectivity here. Just a wee bit better. How's that looking? Still a lot of traffic. Putting all this, that commercial center here just really just drove a lot of traffic. Now, is that all? That's all traffic too. Where's that stemming from? Seems like it's stemming from right here. Interesting. All right. I'm gonna pause this for a second, guys. All right, I'm back. Okay, so let's see here. I'm trying to figure out this traffic issue. It might just be that I need to upgrade this street here. I don't know that I can upgrade that street. I don't think a monorail can have more than two. Oh yeah, we're getting a lot of traffic here. So it may be time. It may just be time to go ahead and set up a metro. There we go. And certainly can't do a metro without sticking one over here somehow. I would say yeah, put it right there. Don't like that it's right there like that though. Or can I move it around and it still work? All right. No, I think I probably should put a metro in over here somewhere. It would make some sort of sense. Maybe we go ahead and stick it over here. Uh-oh. I had an underpass here that I just ruined. So I need to... I didn't think about that. Let's see. Okay. Just kind of flub it by... pushing it through and technically it'll still work. That's all I'm looking for, honestly. Because I don't want to flood with it, and nobody's going to see it because it's underground. So that's my philosophy. All right. Kind of serves a slightly different area of the city. This is along that avenue, but that goes inboard to the interior of a lot of this stuff. Yeah, I don't really have too many off-ramps to get people from here back to over there. And I eliminated the left turns. That's creating a lot of an issue, I think, on the traffic over here. That's why the traffic here is so bad, because it's the only route really from this area back. So I need to think about that. Okay. What we'll do is we can rise up here. And create elevated bridges here. There we go. Now I can see. There we go. And then what I can do is do it from here. Alright, and then just manage my lanes here a little bit, make sure. Seems like things would go fine, but maybe do something similar over here. I'll do an overpass this time, though. There we go. Alright, there we go. Let's see how that looks. A lot of traffic still. I think part of that is because here I really haven't allowed for any connection. And all that is pedestrian, and there's a lot of it. But I haven't really allowed for a road to go straight through. I'm not sure how or where I would do that. You know, the only thing I can think of is to move that stadium someplace else, which would be fine. Or just eliminate it. Yeah, you know what? Let's move it. Put it over here. It'd be like a mini stadium. There we go. And then I can do a tunnel through here and then come back up here. And then obviously mess with this connection right there, but I can always alter that. So let's do that. Let's do this one. Nope, not what I wanted to do. Alright, page down to 8. No. Whoops. Gotta love it. Okay. There we go. Alright, so that would need to move. Here. Like that. And then we can have that reconnect. And then did that get eliminated? It's still there. Let's just can we just move it? All right, there we go. Won our second game. That's nice. Okay. Lots of parking here. A little bit of traffic. Mostly people trying to get back out. So let's help them out. Oh, that looks funky. We'll obviously have to fix that. Still looks a little funky there, but it works. I think I'm going to... So you just gotta go straight here. I wonder if it might not help to put a 2-lane at the onset. Okay. So what I'm trying to do here is I'm going to eliminate that left turn there. Trying to get things to run a little bit smoother. You know. This road here is going to need to be upgraded, I think. So let's go do that. It's just going to need to be, I think it just needs to be this one. Starting here. Let's see how that goes. You know, I might as well also do it there. Mess that up. It's okay. There we go. I'm gonna redo this. Just kind of watching it, see if it is kind of sorting itself out a little bit. Might just come back to see how it's doing. See how the traffic here is doing, which it is doing a lot better. So I think adding ability for cars to come this way and get off that way and get off that way. I think those things helped eliminate all the traffic that was coming here, which was, I was here, I was going through there to get back over to here, and now I can just hop on the freeway and do that, which makes a lot more sense, I think. Let's put some fun stuff in to this park. Make it even more exciting. Info booth right here next to this major intersection there. Still making plenty of money, and I have a feeling Walker Park counts for most of it. 33 coming in, 31. So that means if I didn't have this park making all that money, I'd have no income. I'd be in deficit. So That park is making my city what it is without me having to think too hard about it. All right. $720 a day. Ooh. Let's take a look. Lots of public transportation going on. Man. $1,200 people waiting. Seems like we might need to increase the number of vehicles. And we might need to create an actual proper loop. If we did an actual proper loop, it might actually help things, because like going this way could be almost like an express. Yes, what I need to do is I need to just delete both of these lines. And create a couple of lines. We'll see how that does. We could do a ferry too. Do one from here and then like do it to over here. Or maybe do it from right here. But I don't really want to put any roads out here, so I'd have to do it on the other side of the beach for it to just make any kind of sense. It's a lot of passengers waiting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 line, 7 stops. You almost have 5,000 people waiting to get onto that subway, which is wow. Yeah, that's a lot of people. I mean, it is serving just a huge, high density area. But that is next level wow. It's not like that's the only one that has a. I mean, that's 2,000. That would be ridiculous in any other scenario except that compared to that one, which is now almost 6,000 people. It's just, oh my god. I haven't even looked at the other line yet. They're all trying to go that way, not necessarily this way. Wow. That's just a lot of people. Which one is this one? Not too many, actually, right there. What about over here? An insignificant amount, looks like. Okay, things seem like they're finally being managed on some level. Got all these trains and they're all 100% full of people. It's a lot of people. It's a lot of people. I wonder if we need to just go and manage. And do. Is it subway? No. Is it metro? Yes. So capacity. Let's make that 100. Let's take a look at it again. So now it went from 180 to 600 people, and it's still I got a line that is still full of people. That's 600 people now. That's a lot of people. Okay. All right. Well, I'm done looking at that. That's either gonna work or it ain't. So when you do super high density like this, you're just gonna have that issue, and particularly because I didn't do it slow. I did it quick, so I'm having to like play catch up on all my transportation and my traffic. But you know that I did get this working out, so this is starting to this is flowing a lot better now. Um, we're still having some trouble, maybe right there a little bit, because maybe we have pedestrians crossing. I could fix that though. You see, no, no, you no cross it there. Make them cross over here. Well, there's a lot that want to turn right, turn left here. There's a lot. Guess I could add another one like in right along here. Could do that. A little bit high, just a wee bit. Wow. That didn't work the way I wanted it to. There we go. Bam. Okay. Now it's looking good. Okay. And that really did a lot. Looking good now. Okay. So all that all I did was expand that commercial, but I mean, look at all that stuff that I threw in there, and so that made a big draw from everywhere in my city all the way to here, and I didn't have really good connections because I only had this one road and this freeway, and so I had to add a bunch of proper freeway interchanges instead of simply doing this kind of a butt intersection. And then I had to make sure that people could get off of the westward bound. People could travel west and actually get off and back to where they want it to go with these two things there. That makes a huge difference. Still got a little bit of traffic going right here. So what I could do is I could... Come on. Here we go. I could do something like that. Make that right turn horrendous, but it makes this getting off a lot easier. You know, a lot of people, they love to use roundabouts. You notice, besides this little funky thing, which is not really a roundabout, it's just a circular street. But you know, a lot of people like to use their roundabouts and stuff, and you notice I don't use roundabouts very often. And you know, for my regular intersections, they typically work just fine. And oh, now that's being said, you know, there could be something to be said about, oh, we need to do something here. You know what'll fix this though a little bit would be just giving it this here at the end. Okay, so this is the major intersection, so what I might need to do is increase the number of lanes here. You know, that might be where you would normally put a roundabout to help things move along a little bit better. It really doesn't need to be more than one lane except to receive. So maybe what we do is we have this be that, but then we at some point change it to that. Just see how that does. Well, I was like, why is everything going away? Alright, there we go. Yeah, that's solving a lot of problem right there. You know what would also help, I betcha, is if I just put like a little one lane one way in right here. And what I'm going to do too is I'm going to do the same thing over here. And then I'm going to eliminate this left turn here. So this goes only straight. So if you're wanting to turn left, you go left there, and then you go left. Or left there, and then right to get to these couple of things there. Just trying to work on our traffic here. It is creating a problem here. Okay. Yeah, that works the way I want it to now. Still got a problem with people that are trying to just go through. Hmm. I think it's just not connected enough on this. These blocks are too long, and that's one of my main problems. I'm pushing everything to this road, and so this road is just getting too much pressure. So by adding these in, it's only to go in, but that's where most of the traffic is because they're trying to get on this freeway to go to the rest of the city. The traffic coming off, yeah, it is there, but it's not really backing up, so I'm not really worried about getting it back out. It's about bringing it in. That seems to be working pretty good. I'm just looking at how things are going here because there's definitely backup happening here. Let's see about creating just throughput there. Sorry. Oh man, guys, I think I'm getting tired. I think I'm gonna call this one a day. There's some more traffic to deal with in here, but I'm thinking I might just save that for another episode, or not episode, but another time. I mean, maybe even later today, tonight. Whew, needed that stretch. Yeah, I mean, things are happening interestingly. It seems like I'm not really getting my bang for my buck out of my rail depot here. And I wonder if I need to move my rail depot to over here. And I wonder if I need to connect it to a cargo hub. It's crossing my mind, that's for sure. Hmm. Oh Lord. Well, yeah, guys, I'm tired. I'm gonna sign off for now. Thanks for hanging out with me, and I'll see y'all later.